This is a story of sorrow and joy. This is not a traditional Scottish story, but there are lots of themes that are kind of the same. This is a story that takes place in a village, and in this village there's a house with a man and a woman in it. But the thing about this particular man and this woman is that he is always getting angry. He's always getting kind of like losing the rag, and he's shouting at the woman, and he's throwing things at her, and on occasion even hitting her. And the whole village is kind of up in arms, and they are sick to the back teeth of him. So they go and they see the minister, and they say, well, you know, don't like to stick our noses in other folks' business, but, you know, there's a point when you have to do something. And he's at that point. We have to do something. So, we're here to ask you if you'd be the person to go and say to him that it's just not on. So that's a hard thing for anybody to do. But of course he's the minister, and he thinks to himself, okay, I have to think about how I'm going to approach this man. So he comes up with his idea, and he goes to visit them. Gets to the house, knocks on the door, in he goes. I've come to talk to you about some issues of anger and some other aspects of sorrow and joy. Now the rest of the village can see that you have issues of anger, but I'm here to tell you that in a relationship with your wife, you have to share together your sorrow and your joy. The minister now, he's thinking this is going quite well. The man's been quite quiet. He's taken it all in. Seems like it's actually having an effect. So he thinks to himself, okay, so I'll just, you know, push forward a bit more now that I'm at it. So then he says, so basically I'm here to tell you, the rest of the village aren't going to put up with it anymore. You're going to have to kind of calm down and find some other ways to deal with this. So, deal with your sorrows, share those with your wife, and share your joys. And we'll be a much happier relationship here, and much happier with the village. And off he goes. That's it. Minister, job done. Feels pretty good about it, and off he heads. Well, the man and the wife, they do seem to be getting on better. Village is really happy. Wife is really happy. Everything's going just grand. But you know, human beings, we're terrible for backsliding into bad behaviours, you know. Seems to all make sense, seem like you've got a handle on it, but then not. So, slowly, day by day, he's beginning to kind of get a bit angrier, a bit wilder, a bit less patient. And that's it. One day he just strikes out, and he is shouting at her, and he is screaming, and he's running around the house, and she's running away from him, and he picks up something and he hefts it at her, and he misses. And she's looking behind her shoulder, and she's like, oh, thank God for that. Missed me. And the rest of the village are watching, and they're like, oh no, there he goes again. Oh. And then he picks up something else as he's going, and he hefts it at her, and oh, it hits her, and there's an almighty groan goes up from the rest of the village, and he is yelping. So you've got this whole situation's happened again. And the village goes back to the minister and says, he's at it again. So the minister, prepared this time, strides up into the house, goes to see the man, and he says, so I thought we had a conversation, and that we were going to be dealing with our anger and sharing our sorrow and our joy with your wife. And the man says, but I am sharing my sorrow and my joy. You know, like if you ask the village, when I hefted that first thing at her and it missed, she and they were totally delighted, and I was full of sorrow. And when I threw that second thing at her and it hit her, I was completely joyful, and they were all sorry. what more can I say? We are sharing sorrow and joy. Now the minister smiles a wee bit. And the rest of the village are not very far away and probably listening. And he looks deep into the man's eyes and says, that's a good try. You'll get off with it once. Sorrow and joy.